Man, what a title. If there's one thing that Scorsese has down on lock, it's the title. Killers of the Flower Moon. It's just like sounds like the opening to a poem, you know? I've said it before, I'll say it again till my dying day. But DiCaprio has never deserved an Oscar. Okay, maybe he might have deserved one for Wolf of Wall Street simply because of the sheer amount of screen time that he had. But almost, I would say 9 times out of 10, whoever's on screen with him outperforms him. Whoever is like the next on the billing list, he's always number one. Whoever is number two, almost always outperforms him. I would say even Jonah Hill might have done a better job than him in Wolf of Wall Street. And Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon 100% outperforms him. And maybe even more than that. In the one film that DiCaprio actually won an Oscar for, The Revenant, which like the heck, Tom Hardy demolishes DiCaprio's performance, demolishes it. He is so much more magnetic. He is so much more convincing, so much more intense. I mean, the acting that he can do just with his eyes outshines anything that DiCaprio did in that film. So I don't have a vendetta against DiCaprio. I'm not jealous of his success. Well, I mean, maybe I am a little bit. But I just don't like this whole narrative that, everyone keeps saying, he hasn't won an Oscar yet. He hasn't won an Oscar yet. Yeah, because he doesn't deserve one. He's just like that. He's just the cool guy. Any movie he's in, he's just in like that sort of box office smash role. So this is a movie that almost demands a rewatch. I've only seen it once. I definitely want to see it again, and I will see it again. But this movie almost demands a rewatch. First of all, it's just an epic. It's just so sweeping and beautiful and wonderful to watch. The character development and the historical element of it and everything that it entails. I mean, it's just so epic. Anytime you make a movie that is that has that balance between the white man and Native Americans is going to be super interesting. And Scorsese walks that line with an amazing amount of respect, an amazing amount of dignity, and an amazing amount of desire to express the story of what the Native Americans went through during that massacre. Lily Gladstone, again, is just so good. She's so good in this movie. The way that she can communicate emotion through her eyes, the weariness of the situation that she's going through, the weariness of being married to DiCaprio at some points, the weariness of what her people are going through. And there are some other scenes where it's not just weariness, but it's pure heartbreak that just comes out of the depths of her soul, that when you're sitting there watching, you're like, I can't even believe this is an actor. It feels like someone just turned a camera on and captured this scene. And that also plays to the genius of Martin Scorsese, how he's able to get these performances out of his actors. De Niro, of course, is great. I don't any role that De Niro is in, he's going to do great. I don't know if this is necessarily like the kind of role that like he can perfectly shine in, but like him and Scorsese, I mean, it's basically just like father and son at this point. I mean, he must have been completely comfortable in this particular role. He knows exactly what Scorsese wants out of him, and Scorsese knows exactly what Robert De Niro is going to give him. So in that case, I couldn't have asked for anything more from De Niro, and yes, he does a great job. There is a cameo by Scorsese that seems a little like self-indulgent and kind of like unnecessary. Thankfully, it was at the end of the movie, so like it didn't like kind of pull me out right at the get-go, but I didn't really understand why he was in it. I mean, I guess he just kind of wanted to be on screen, which, is fine. He totally deserves that. But it didn't really, like, add anything to the film. Like, they could have easily replaced him with any actor, anyone, and it would have totally worked out. But I think that for what it's worth, it was fine. I just kind of thought that it wasn't necessarily appropriate. Not in, like, an ethical way, but just in a cinematic storytelling way. This movie is pretty brutal. Like, don't go in necessarily expecting to be in a good mood when you come out of it, because it hits hard. There are a lot of deaths, and some of them are needless and brutal, but that's real life. Scorsese's really good at capturing real life, however fictionalized it might seem. And so when you go into this, know that it's a Scorsese movie and know that it's about a massacre. That's pretty much all I can say. It's definitely not as violent or as brutal as some of his other movies, like the scene in Casino where they're, they're torturing that new Irish criminal and they put his head in a vice. It's not that level of bad, but I think emotionally it hits harder than Casino ever does. Cinematography is fantastic. I mean, it's the perfect kind of setting for great cinematography. The wide open plains of the 19th century America, at least I think that's the setting, and just the beautiful landscapes, and the cinematography is wonderful. So that aspect of the movie is another positive. And Scorsese's good at that too. He's really good at making things realistic, but also making them fantastical. Again, coming back to Casino, you could probably guess by now what my favorite Scorsese movie is. He's able to kind of capture these scenes that are in fact in real life. You've seen them in real life, but they just feel so exciting. They feel like something out of a dream. So that's one of the many, many reasons why Scorsese is one of the great titans of cinematic directors. Killers of the Flower Moon is another amazing movie by Martin Scorsese, not without its flaws, but it is definitely worth a watch. And I'm going to give this one an 8.3 out of 10. So have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon? If you have, what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next cinematic adventure.